Welcome back to the Saturday Scholars College Football Podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That is Gonzo. That is Zan. I am Shoob, and today we are here to do Week 9 picks. Let's go. Another great week of college football is in store. And gentlemen, we have some great games to pick. And first of all, let's dive into real quick what happened last week. It's not very good right now for me on terms of the spread. I went 1-9 against the spread last week. It is pretty awful. You can see if you're watching on YouTube, the graphic there, just absolutely awful. I think a monkey could have picked better. This is the second time in 3 weeks that I've gone 1-9 on spreads. Just very awful for me on that front. But in terms of picking outright winners, we are doing pretty well. I went 6-4. Zan went 9-1, had a great week. Gonzo went 8-2. Zan and Gonzo both went 6-4 against the spread. And as you can see on the graphic, both of them are positive so far on that front on the spreads. So they're doing pretty well. Just kind of ignore my spread record right there on the very right. Yeah, you don't need to pay attention or listen to what I have to say on this because clearly it has not been the correct side so far this year. But Zan and Gonzo are doing very well, and we're doing very well in terms of picking outright winners per usual. So, gentlemen, the first game on the docket this week, number 6, Oklahoma is heading to Lawrence to face Kansas. The Sooners are a 10-point favorite. OU is coming off of a very, very narrow win against UCF. Very interesting game there, especially towards the end. And Kansas had a bye week to prepare for this. Is this a potential slip-up opportunity from Oklahoma, or did that slip-up opportunity happen last week and they got through it? What do you think happens here?
I'll take a Boomer Sooner both ways, and I think Jalen Daniels not playing for KU, even though Jason Beam is serviceable. I think that makes the big difference here. And I think, like you said, I think they had their trap game. They survived it, and I think they're about to go on a little bit of a roll to close this out.
Yeah, when you look at Oklahoma, they're going to be on the road for this. And I think this is a game that Kansas has circled in the calendars. Kansas understands that this is kind of a must win, given where they are in their season, if they want to have any chance of making the Big 12 championship game. I think OU is going to win it, but I think Kansas will keep it close. I will take the 10 for Kansas.
OU is going to win this game, I think. I think that OU's offense will be able to put up points on the board. Kansas defense, I just don't think is built to stop this OU offense. I think that it's going to be a high-scoring game, and you're right. Even with Jason Bean, I like Jason Bean. He's a very good backup quarterback. In fact, I kind of take the backup label off of him because he's still a very good quarterback that would start at a lot of other Power 5 schools. But I still think OU is going to win this game. Agree with you, Gonzo. The trap opportunity was last week. It didn't happen. But I'm going to take KU to cover here on the spread. I think KU can keep it to a touchdown or maybe within 10 points. But if you're KU, you probably don't like that, the fact that I just picked you on the spread, because that probably means that OU is going to cover this. So
go side with Gonzo. Go side with Gonzo.
Yeah. Yeah. Sooners fans, be happy that I picked KU on the spread this week. All right. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, number 1 Georgia versus Florida. The Dogs are a 14.5-point favorite. Man, towards the beginning of the year, it didn't seem like this game would be all that relevant, but all of a sudden, Florida is kind of quietly a 5-2 team, 3-1 in SEC play, and then you have Georgia here, who of course is still undefeated. But in terms of getting to the SEC championship game, Florida would actually be in the driver's seat if they win this game. But the question is, can they win this game? Vegas says that Georgia's a 14.5-point favorite.
Florida can win this game, but Georgia will win this game. Dogs on the money line, and I like my alma mater to keep this one close. They did well for me last year with that. Granted, they had 21 to work with, but I think with the bye week, even though Georgia has theirs concurrently, I think that's enough for UF to bring Georgia down and give them one of those head scratcher games. Heck, if Auburn can do it, then I think a more talented Gator team absolutely can keep this close.
I believe Brock Bowers is still out. Carson Beck is playing better, though, as the season has progressed. He has slowly improved. And that 14.5 line seems so baity to me. They want you to take Florida because they're giving you that extra half, and it's kind of a big line. I feel like it's a letdown game for Florida. Georgia both ways. Georgia both ways.
Yeah, the Brock Bowers point is very interesting that you made, Zan. It unlikely to play in this game, I believe, as of today. We're recording on Sunday night, October 22nd, FYI. So we do pick these games very early in the week before we get injury reports. But I'm going to assume that Brock Bowers isn't playing. And the question is, how is Georgia going to look? How's that offense going to look operating without Brock Bowers? How is Carson Beck going to adjust to his number one target not being there? Most likely. That'll be very interesting to me. But the good news for Georgia is that Florida's secondary in particular hasn't been that great this year. Florida's defense definitely isn't the strong side of that team. And I just don't think Florida has the offense to beat Georgia, plain and simple. I just think Florida is not built to win this game, in my opinion. They're built to beat the teams like Tennessee or potentially LSU, but I don't think they're built to beat Georgia. So I think Georgia's going to win this game. And in terms of the spread, you know what? Throw my spread record out. Screw it, guys. Go Gators. I'm a UF alum. I'm taking the Gators to cover the spread. Let's go. Make me happy, Gators. Make me proud. I hope this is a competitive game. So I'll take Florida plus 14 and a hook there. All right. BYU versus Texas. Now, I know the spread is not that enticing in this game. It suggests that Texas is a big favorite. In fact, they're a 17.5-point favorite to win this game. But, you know, I keep saying the term quietly a 5-2 team. I feel like there's so many teams out there that are quietly, quote unquote, quietly 5-2. And BYU is one of them. Big win versus Texas Tech last week. Guys, is there any chance that BYU can win this game? Texas, the big storyline here is they will be without Quinn Ewers for a while now. Malik Murphy is expected to be the starter. Is there any chance for BYU here in Austin?
If Malik Murphy plays poorly, then there is a chance.
Took them on the win, but Wyoming had this game tied in the fourth quarter and still covered. Absolutely, I'm taking the Cougs to cover. This is the best of the four teams to arrive into the Big 12, and they're playing absolute grown men coming off missions there. No, I like BYU to at least keep it pseudo-competitive.
So obviously I'm going to take the Horns to win this game. They are the better side on both sides of the ball, even with some questions at quarterback. I think Murphy, with a whole nother week of practice as QB1, because I know he looked a little shaky, but he definitely didn't get starting reps, first team reps. He's going to get first team reps in practice this week. I really don't think, look, man, Keaton Slovis, he's bound to throw 2 or 3 interceptions in this game. I think Texas is going to cover this as well at 17.5. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, I'm with you, Zan. I think Texas is going to obviously win this game. I'd be pretty shocked if they don't. And yeah, it would take Malik Murphy just being a complete disaster for them to not win this game. And I'm going to take Texas to cover the spread as well. I think I'm going to fall for the Malik Murphy is actually a pretty good player, and we just didn't see a whole lot of him versus Houston, so we just don't know what to, we just didn't really get to take away whether or not he's actually like bad or not. I'm going to take that angle here.
First team reps really matter in practice, and he definitely didn't get any. He's going to get them this week.
Yeah, I think Texas can, just with sheer talent, even with mid QB level play here, I think they can win and cover the spread. And they are at home. They had a down week last week. I think they'll have a bounce back performance at home against BYU. All right, Oregon versus Utah. Now, it seems like all these games sort of get diluted because every single week there's like a huge ranked matchup in the Pac-12 between these Pac-12 contenders. And it's like these games happen every week, and it's sort of like, oh, yeah, more Pac-12 games. Teams are all playing each other. Well, I kind of feel like we're getting Pac-12 fatigue here, but I'm not. Personally, I'm really much looking forward to this game, and I think this is an extremely interesting game because Oregon's a 6-point favorite at Utah. Well, boys, this one's at Utah. This one's on the road for Oregon. This is where Utah plays extremely well. They played a road game against USC and won last week. We talked a lot about that. Can Utah do this? Can Utah do this and get back into the hunt for the Pac-12 championship game? In fact, I think they'd pretty much be like one of the favorites to go to the Pac-12 championship game if they are able to beat Oregon head-to-head. In fact, I think they kind of knock out Oregon if they beat them, which is crazy because Oregon's a really good team. I think this one is like extremely important, and it's just kind of not really being pegged as a important game because there's just one of these in the Pac-12 every week. That's my point here. So, Gonzo, what do we got? The Ducks are a 6-point favorite according to Vegas.
This is tough. So, quack, quack. I'll take Oregon to win. I like their defense. I like any defense more than USC's. But I'll take Utah to cover. And I can feel a little better if Utah if Utah gets the better of me and wins the game. So at least, I have that going. So I think Ducks win a close one out there in Salt Lake City. But I think their defense being better than USC's and maybe a little bit of hangover from such an exhilarating win might be enough to propel the Ducks past the Utes.
The Utes are such a different team at home, man. They are just so much better at home. And gosh dang it, man. I mean, 6.5 points. Utes cover for sure. But you know what, man? Bryson Barnes, Keontae Patupo, we can go like community college guy from down the street. Give me Utah. They're so well coached, man. I mean, I think Utah is going to pull it out, man. They're so stingy at home. I think this is a struggle game for Bo Nix.
Ooh, boy. This is tough, man. This one is tough. This might be one of the toughest games I think we've had to pick so far this year. If Oregon loses, like, they're done. This would be their second loss, and it'd be their second loss in Pac-12 play. And think how great of a team we think Oregon is. Like, this just speaks to the toughness of the Pac-12 this year. I'm gonna go with Oregon to win on the road. I'm gonna go with the Ducks, but I'll be damned if Utah does not cover this game too. I'm gonna hedge here like Gonzo. I think this is gonna be a 1-score game. I'm going to go with the Ducks, and I think the one thing that can carry the Ducks to a win here is their defense. This is not USC's defense that a mediocre offense like Utah can still put up 34 points against. This is a pretty good Ducks defense that's still inside the top 20 in the country. Bo Nix just broke the record for the most starts ever as a quarterback, I believe, in Division I. So you got a veteran quarterback on the road. This isn't like true freshman Dante Moore going into Utah and like doing absolutely awful. You got a veteran QB. Like, this is the type of team, if there is a team to go into Utah and beat them away, this is the team that I think can do it. And I think they will, but man, this one's going to be close, and I would not be surprised if Utah cuts the Ducks' heads off this weekend. And this is going to be a great one. I'm telling you. I'm going to be looking forward to it. All right. Number 20, Duke on the road at number 18, Louisville. Speaking of just not having things not let up, Duke is just you don't get any breaks this year in the ACC, especially with their schedule. You go on the road last week to Florida State. You lose a heartbreaker. You had a lead early. Riley Leonard's still kind of banged up, still dealing with that ankle sprain. Now you got to go at Louisville. Louisville, who came off a pretty embarrassing loss last week to Pitt. Louisville's a team that plays up to their competition, and they play down to their competition. Unfortunately for Duke, I think Duke has Louisville's attention. What do you think happens here? Louisville is a 4-point favorite at home.
Duke both ways. If Riley Leonard plays, I feel a lot more confident about that. But I like Duke defense, and I kind of think Louisville's a little fraudulent. Just due to their Charmin schedule, even though that Notre Dame win was a great win. But I like the Dukies here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Duke is much different when the Duke of Yorkshire is the quarterback. So they're not going to be able to throw that much. But hey, their running backs are pretty good. Their defense is really good as well. But man, I cannot pick this game with any degree of confidence. I would ever put money on it, but gosh dang it, Gonzo. I'm going with Duke.
Dang, Duke.
I agree.
Ways. Or yeah, of course, they're a 4-point dog. Yep.
And I agree that Louisville is a part of the snake oil state, and the number one export there is snake oil. And even without Riley Leonard, I think Duke can keep this a low-scoring game and score just enough to beat Louisville.
Well, I'll be that guy, and this kills me, but I'm going to take Louisville. I'll be that guy. I'm going to take Louisville to win this game.
Duke's going to win now.
And well, it's really spreads for me. It's spreads that are killing me. In terms of outright winners, I'm still hanging in there with you guys. But yeah, I'm going to take Louisville, and that's because of the big game Braum principle. Listen,
True.
You beat Notre Dame, you lose to Pitt, you beat Duke. That's just how Louisville goes about it. That's just how Braum goes about it. It's a home game too for Louisville. I think that plays a huge factor here. Man, if Riley Leonard can't run, even if Riley Leonard is playing, but he can't run the ball effectively, that just completely neutralizes Duke's offense. Duke's defense can only do so much. I think Louisville gets them, but it will be a close game. And in terms of the spread, I want to pick Duke on the spread here. It's within the range of, or it's outside our range that I can hedge right here. And you know what? Screw it. I'm really like going through tough times here. I'm gonna do it. I'm trimming hedges again. I'm trimming hedges. Give me Duke on the spread. I think they can keep it within 4 points. So yeah, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Shoot, you just doomed all of us. Louisville's going to blow them out now.
I'm not laying 4 points with Louisville against Duke, man. Even without Riley Leonard, you think I'm going to lay 4 points with Louisville against Duke? I can't do that to Duke. I just can't.
You believe in the Duke of Yorkshire quite a bit.
I'll take Louisville to win. All right. Who would have thought we'd be picking the Miami of Ohio Redhawks in back-to-back weeks? Well, we are. And just like last week, pretty pivotal game in the MAC. They lost that game. You guys got that Toledo pick right there. Toledo still undefeated in conference play. Well, now Miami of Ohio and Ohio are both 3-1 in MAC play. And this game right here is essentially the MAC East de facto championship game right here. Whoever wins this game is very likely to play Toledo in the MAC championship game. That's why it's a big deal. And Ohio is at home, and they're a 6.5-point favorite. What do you guys got here?
Ohio both ways. Miami doesn't have Brett Gabbert.
I think that's why that's a whole 6.5, because I would expect this line to be a little bit closer, especially because Ohio has been struggling here lately. Offensively, Ohio has really, really struggled here lately. Rourke hasn't really, he's lost his mojo a little bit, which makes me a little bit concerned here. But given that they're at home, given the importance of this game, given that the other side doesn't have their starter, I'm with you, Gonzo. I'm going Ohio both ways.
Give me Ohio. That's it, just Ohio. Give me Ohio. Give me the Bobbies. I expect to bounce back from Rourke here, to Zan's point. They've kind of not been playing super hot the last few weeks, but I think they could get back into gear. I'm gonna trust that they get the train back on the tracks there, and they're at home. Huge point about Gabbert being out, quarterback for Miami of Ohio there. That's a big point. So give me the Bobbies. Roll Bobbies there, laying the 6.5. All right, back into the SEC. Tennessee, number 21, as a 3.5-point favorite going on the road to Kentucky. Very, very interesting spot here for both these teams, frankly. Tennessee now coming off a loss against Alabama where they had a 27 to lead at halftime. Can they rally the troops, get off the mat? Now you got to go to Lexington to face Kentucky, who is just the trap team that I don't think anybody in the SEC wants to play in that situation that Tennessee's in. Makes it very interesting. What do we think is going to happen here?
Give me the balls both ways. This defensive line is improved. I think they can bottle up Ray Davis. I actually, even though I was ragging on him, I do think Joe Milton is a better quarterback than Devin Leary. And I think Tennessee can do enough to at least win by a touchdown on the road.
What's the line?
3.5.
3.5? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Sheesh. They don't make that one easy.
Nope.
Kentucky's run game. It's been really nice. I mean, Devin Leary's the factor, man. He's just been so bad. Comparative to what we thought he would be this year, he has just been so bad. But they are at home, and Tennessee has been a team who has been reeling a little bit. They haven't been as dominant offensively as we have seen in years past. I like this for a low-scoring game. Curious what the over-under is. But you know what, man? Screw it. Wildcats. Snake oil, not snake oil this week. Wildcats, both ways.
Snake oil. How about some steak sauce for Kentucky? All right, I'm a little surprised there. You're picking Kentucky here. I thought I was going to be the only one because I'm picking Kentucky as well. The downfall of the Tennessee Volunteers in 2023 begins, gentlemen. Yeah, I just don't listen. This just seems like the perfect spot for Kentucky to be in. Tennessee coming after a loss. You can't tell me that those guys are going to get up and be as motivated as they were to go play Alabama last week. And then they got to go play at Kentucky too, which is like a huge factor in the game. The fact that it's in Lexington, I think this is just a big spot for Kentucky here. I like them over Tennessee, even with poor quarterback play, running the ball in defense. They can get the job done. And I just can't trust Joe Milton to play fairly well 2 weeks in a row. And I just don't think. I think he's going to have a bad game again, and Kentucky's going to do what Kentucky does. So give me the Wildcats as a 3.5-point dog along with Zan. All right. Ohio State versus Wisconsin. Now, I may have already showed you guys the spread if you're looking at the graphic, if you peeked at it. You guys might be a little surprised what the spread is right now. It is at Wisconsin. Ohio State is a 14-point favorite, which I personally thought would be a little bit higher. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself here. But yeah, this one's a little interesting. Maybe Vegas suggests that this game might be a little bit closer than I think it should be.
Well, Tanner Mordecai did get benched.
I'll take the Bucks both ways. Braden Locke doesn't scare me, and I think they bottle up Braylon Allen, and I don't think Wisco's defense is going to stop Ohio State's offense. Bucks roll.
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin, their best wide receiver, Kamir Dike, hasn't really been doing much. Their offense, from a passing perspective, hasn't taken that leap I thought they would this season. And so that makes them very one-dimensional. They are entirely reliant on Ches Malusi and Braylon Allen. And if you stop them, you have no offense. I mean, heck, Wisconsin has been struggling against teams with lesser defenses than Ohio State to score points. So 14 points when you're playing against Marvin Harrison Jr. and all the 5 stars on that side of the ball, war of attrition, Ohio State both ways.
Yeah, I feel really good about taking Ohio State here. I like Ohio State to win, and I feel fairly comfortable about laying those 14 points with the Buckeyes on the road, kind of for the same reasons that Zan said. I don't know if Wisconsin's even seen the caliber of team of Ohio State yet this year. I think that I like the Buckeyes here a lot. I think the defense is really going to shut them down. This Ohio State defense will bottle up Wisco, and I think that Ohio State can win by 3 scores, 3 touchdowns. All right. Oregon State at Arizona. More Pac-12. Let's go, baby. Number 11, Oregon State is a 4-point favorite on the road at Arizona in Tucson. Boys, if you're a Pac-12 contender, this is like the last spot you want to be in right now. You do not want to be playing Arizona, and it's at Arizona in Tucson. Oregon State, 4-point favorite. Are they in trouble here?
Noah Fafite does scare me, but we're building the dam. Beeves both ways.
Arizona's so well coached, guys. I mean, Jed Fish deserves a lot of credit for what has gone on over there. I mean, we never thought at this point in the season we'd be talking about Arizona being like a sniper, an absolute sniper in the Pac-12, just absolutely trying to kill everyone's season because they can't have any of the glory for themselves. So they have to steal it from you. And that's kind of what this may be. That may be what you preach. But man, who has more to play for? Who's living currently in the midst of a movie? It's Oregon State. They are the odd duckling left out along with Washington State, and the other duckling is already left behind. Washington State is the last hope for the 2 ducklings, and you know what? I think Oregon State keeps hope alive. Oregon State both ways.
Well, bear down, boys. bear down because I'm taking the Cats in an upset of a ranked team. I'm taking Arizona, taking U of A. I just think this is just such a bad spot for Oregon State, guys. I mean, we kind of saw this team struggle against Washington State on the road in Pullman. Now you got to go down to Tucson. I love Oregon State. I think they're a great team, but I just think this is a classic trap game. I like Arizona a lot here. They're a lot better than their record showed. And I think there's going to be a lot more points in this game than you would suspect. I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. Fafita at quarterback for Arizona, huge difference maker for me. I think they're going to be able to put up points on Oregon State, and I expect this one to be a little bit of a track meet. So
It'll be a good game. I'm going to watch it.
I agree. I think it will be a good game. I think it's one of the later games too, so I'll be watching it for sure. All right. Let's end the day with UNLV against Fresno State. Let's head into G5, a little Mountain West action.
That's some sicko mode right there.
Man, it's sicko, but this is a UNLV team that is somehow 6-1. UNLV. This was a team that like had a win total of like 4.5, I think, or 5.5. Like they were expected to be one of the bottom teams in the Mountain West, and somehow they're 6-1. Now they got to go at Fresno State. This is again a 7:30 game for my time, West Coast, like 10:30 East Coast. So this is sicko mode, late night, Mountain West after dark. Fresno is a 9-point favorite at home.
Fresno both ways. They're still very alive, trying to win the Mountain West Championship. UNLV's story's been nice, especially with the new coach. But I like Mikey Keene and company to come and win this one by double digits.
Considering I don't know a lick about UNLV, just admitting it right now, just know they're having a pretty good season. I can't, in all good conscience, pick them. I have to go with Fresno both ways.
Listen, UNLV has been a pleasant surprise so far this year, but you know they're not really considered a team that we would normally talk about for obvious reasons. But normally when you have a team like Fresno State in the Power 5 and you look at them being 6-1 and you look into under the hood and you see how they've won these games and who they've beaten, this is a type of team that we would normally say in the Power 5, a lot of snake oil here. Now, I know Las Vegas is not in the state of Kentucky, but you take a little deep dive under the hood of UNLV. Listen, great story and everything. I love it, but there's a lot of snake oil going on here. Fresno State has a loss in conference play. I think this is a rope straightener game right here. Give me Fresno, and I'm laying the 9 points as well at home. I like Fresno State big in this matchup. I think just it comes to a head for UNLV, but that doesn't take away from a pleasant surprise that they've had so far this season. Give me Fresno State. I like them a lot in this spot to win and cover. So we got the Bulldogs across the board here laying the 9 points. All right, guys. Week 9 picks are in the books. Another great week is in store. A lot of hey, listen, legitimately this year, the thing that I've enjoyed about this season is that every single week there have been great games and there've been big matchups, which sometimes, you know, there's going to be every weeks here and there where there's not really that many great games. And that hasn't been the case this year. Every single week there's been like huge games and I've loved it. It's been a great season so far. This week definitely adds to that intrigue and I'm excited for it. So any last words before we wrap it up, boys?
I'm all good. Let's see how the week pans out.
Party safe at your Halloween parties this Saturday.
All I'm going to say is that I would like to not go 1-9 on spreads again for the third time in 4 weeks. So if we can get that to happen, then that'd be nice. That's all I'm saying.
If that happens to you, you're bringing us down with you. So
no, yeah, seriously. Yeah, hopefully no more spooky season for me. All right. This is the Saturday Scholars for Gonzo, Zan, and Shoob signing out. See y'all later. Enjoy your college football Saturday.